Good afternoon.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, awesome.
I am the office hours for data validation. I have had to start the office hours this week by saying that the data hadn't been loaded yet. If it has been, I haven't received the notification yet. But the purpose, as the communication spelled out, was for you to have an opportunity to revalidate your data and do a second round of data validation, and then come to the office hours if you had any questions or concerns regarding that. But certainly, I'm going to still have 2 to 3 open. If people have general questions, the focus of the office hours is the data validation, but people have had other questions, and Janice Heller is sometimes on the call, and she's been able to address some of those. And in other instances, I will just take those questions back to the CCR team at the system office, or if it needs to go to benchmark. But again, the purpose of the office hours is to discuss questions regarding data validation. And until that data is uploaded, you won't have an opportunity to actually validate your data. But certainly, if you have any questions about the process or anything like that right now before you start revalidating your data, you can certainly pose those questions as well. I sent a communication on last Friday that included just information, general information about the office hours. Also, another data validation spreadsheet. It's like the spreadsheet that you did previously. If you were part of the data validation process for your program, I know that we do have new people, new directors, and also new data managers who may not have been part of that process when it occurred back in March or April. So that is the same sheet for those who did participate in the data validation previously. And all we're doing in this round is having providers check and make sure that the discrepancies or the errors that they identified in that first worksheet have been corrected. There are also some additional things that you weren't able to validate in that first round of validations regarding adult high school, multiple pathways, and things of that nature, IET, IECLE, those things that you'll be validating for the first time, because in the first round of validations, that data was not available. And so once you've revalidated your data, and again, I'm talking with the idea of you revalidating your data in the future, in the near future, hopefully, you will send any errors that you have to me. I know one of the ServiceNow document, it listed Dr. Everett, but everyone should send those corrections to me. So that is just general information that I've just been mentioning through the office hours. But the office hours will be driven by questions from you all that you come across as you're revalidating your data. I see that Janice has joined. Hi, Janice. How are you today?
I am doing good. Thanks.
That's good. Adrienne, you have a question?
Yes, I have a question. Will we see the missing last school and data attended educational level and employment status? Will we see that change now, or they're still in the process of working on that? Because I'm still seeing that with FTCC data, that stuff is missing, although in colleague, it's there in colleague.
For the last school attended, I know the data updates have not come through yet. So in general, nothing has been updated yet since the last validation. But as far as the last high school attended field and the date last high school attended. Those actually came from data in the PopArc file, which pulls from HSA, the high school's attended field. So what we found was that some providers recorded that information there and some didn't because it's not a required field. And likely there's also some providers who were still recording that information, like the last date attended at XNCA. And so if the information is not there, you might want to just try and validate looking at your data. When you validated, did you look at XNCA or did you go into the HSA fields? And then when those validation updates come through from Benchmark and you go ahead and look there, you should see the updates. But just remember, having two fields in colleague called last high school attended date, you kind of have to know where it pulled from, and it pulled from HSA.
So even though it's in our colleague, its possibility will not be pulled into advance.
If it was in colleague at the HSA form, it will be pulled in.
Are you saying HSA?
HSA.
HSA.
Right, and you can get to there either from the RGPE screen detailing into the high school's attended page, as well as once you're in the POP, there's a button in the upper right corner called high school something. And when you detail in there, it takes you right into the HSA form.
So which means if it doesn't import, we will have to go back in and put in that information.
Right, and that would be up to you because it's not a required field, but knowing, yeah, right. So you can make the determination whether you wanted to just put it in ADVANSYS at that point, or before the final data upload in July, if you wanted to populate HSA, you can do that and then it should pull in.
Okay.
But like without seeing your data specifically, I'm not sure
Okay.
if that data is populated.
Yeah, I went into the demo site and I don't see it. But okay, thank you. I'll send this through once we are able to validate. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I see that Rachel has posed a question in the chat. If we find incorrect data on July 26th, will we need to enter a ServiceNow ticket to fix it? I am not sure if they have identified the protocol for correcting the data in July in that period. Janice, do you know if they've identified what the process will be, if it will just be a matter of submitting a BOC ticket? Or
that I'm not sure, but hopefully with this round coming through this month, we can, make sure that hopefully that doesn't happen, that most of our data or all of our data is there in the correct format and everything. But I have not heard what that process would be, whether it would go through to the benchmark system or through ServiceNow. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I haven't heard either. Does anyone else have a question? Adrian, is your hand up again, or was it not put down from the last time?
Oh,
I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry, it might not have been put down last time. I do have another question.
That's fine.
I'm just getting on, so you might have already answered this question. When will we be able to start our validations? When will everything be imported over so we'll be able to validate our data?
I haven't been given that date. Again, June 6th was the date that we had initially been given, and then we were told that everything hadn't been completed, and that a communication will go out to the providers once that is complete. And once that is complete is when you can start validating your data.
Okay.
And you'll, for this round, the you'll have until June 30th to send any corrections you may have to me.
Okay. All right, thank you.
And I believe I remember the communication that I sent out. It included the directors and the LEIS data managers that are listed on this at the system office as the points of contact. I don't know if those are the only people that validate data um, for the local providers, but certainly if you're at uh, a school and your name may not be on that list or you want me to check, I will certainly do that to make sure that the people that need to be contacted will be contacted. Even though I'm pretty sure directors will alert the necessary people, but just in case, because I have had to add a couple of people to that list just this week. And that's just something I wanted to mention um, to make sure everyone who needs to be informed is informed. Does anyone else have a question or concern? Is anyone having any problems accessing the demo site? That's just something else that I've been working on. It's part of my responsibilities, making sure people actually have access to the demo site and actually have access to the permissions to do what needs to be done as far as the validations are concerned. One of the things that we've run into is that people have accounts created, but they're inactive or are locked. And so there's a process for making them active again and unlocking them. So you all probably have tested and made sure that you can get into the demo site, especially if you've been attending the training this week or any previous training. But that may be something else that if there's someone who hasn't attended the office hours, someone else who is going to be involved in this process to ensure that they have access to the demo site. If you're running into any problems with that, you can contact me and I'll try to make sure that the accounts are active and or unlocked. Any other questions? There is a question about the advances reports class. I was not part of that training this go around. Usually I am because I have the office hours to do and some other things that I'm working on. Janice, do you know if the links for all of the training for this week have been distributed? I'm not real sure about the schedule, Rachel, but I can check. Diana Spears is the one that sent out those links. So if you've gotten some already, you know that she sends them, but I will check. I'll have to check to see because I was told that each one of those or those sessions were going to be offered more than one time because some of them were relatively short. So I will check and see if that is being offered again and see if Diana can get you a link.
I was looking, sorry, Delonda, I had my mute button on. I was looking to see if I got the confirmation for reports, and I feel like that one was missing, but I have not heard anything additional about it, whether it was canceled or not. So maybe if you can find out and let us know.
I will.
Thanks. Go over and just make sure that I didn't miss it. Okay.
Oh, no, that's fine, Rachel. We want to make sure that everyone attends the trainings that they were interested in attending. I think it was, we wanted to make sure that these shorter, like trainings were available. So I will check with Diana and just see what's going on. And also Dan Loges oversees the professional development for CCR, and I know that they were working with Diana um, to get these links and things out. So I will check definitely, and that will be done today because I'm not sure when that training is. I didn't look at that list. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad that the shorter trainings have been helpful. Um, that was definitely the goal. I have attended all of like orientation trainings and stuff. I know Janice, you've probably attended quite a few, but some of the shorter trainings, the goal was so that you didn't have to dedicate a whole day to it. It's closer to the go live date, and you could really focus on a specialized area. Especially as some providers have specialized people doing specific things within their data system or whatever, but it's just very helpful. But I will pass that along. That it's been helpful. There is someone, I don't know, it says on hold, so I don't know if the person will be coming back or whatever, but please, if you have any questions, feel free to unmute your mic or you can put them in the chat, or if you have comments, concerns. These office hours will continue until June 30th. And they'll be Monday through Friday, 2 to 3. It will typically be me, Janice, when her schedule will permit, and also Dr. Everett when her schedule permits. And you do not have to stay on the call the entire time. If you have a question, you can pop in, ask the question. Um, Certainly, if you want to hear other people's questions, that's fine. We won't be going into specific provider data and anything like that that is, that would go against confidentiality and privacy issues, but certainly some of the general stuff you're free to listen to and all. But the office hours, as they're designed for questions, a question and answer.
We have a nice storm here, so you might lose me in a minute.
That was what I was concerned with on my end. It had gotten very, very dark. The wind started blowing. It was raining, but now the sun's back out. So my
Okay.
lights blinked, but everything's fine. But certainly I understand, Janice. It has happened to me as I was doing a webinar. So,
Oh, wow.
so yeah, I understand perfectly.
Okay.
Hey, this is Rachel. Can y'all hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
Rachel.
Okay. I don't have anything. I appreciate y'all doing these daily office hours. It really makes me feel comforted and I appreciate it.
Well, I am so glad to hear you say that because I think we want you to to feel comforted, but also help you along. I just with me because I used to be a data manager at Edgecombe Community College. I was there for almost 8 years before I came to the system office. And just having access to information and having my questions answered, it made a difference. Certainly, I never experienced anything like transitioning to a new data system, but just having my questions answered, it made a lot of difference. So I am
Hey,
glad.
Delonda, were you a data manager during the 2017-2018 transition?
Yes.
Okay, so then you know. Okay, good. Thank you. That makes me feel better.
Yeah.
That's what gives me PTSD sometimes.
Oh, yeah. And, it's working in the field or whatever, you get that. And then that's one of the things that I will say when I'm talking with a team is just, well, my team is me and Dr. Everett. But I was like, you can get so frustrated with things dealing with data and everything because so much is so important and you just want to have everything represented accurately and all and everything. And that's why I understand with this transition, we need to have information available to all the providers, so at least people are a little more at ease with this transition. Because I relate when I say it. I'm not just saying it, I do relate. I understand.
Yes, if you went through 17-18, you're a believer. I know you are. Thank you. I appreciate you.
No problem. Thank you.
I'll
17,
get off here and
18,
leave
was
y'all
that the
to it.
year we changed the data system within colleague?
Yes.
Yes.
That was the year. Okay, got it.
Yeah. And
I
it was
came
a
on in 2008 at CCCC, and that was right when they switched to colleague. And
Oh,
so
wow.
waiting for me was 8 months worth of data entry.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah.
tremendous.
Oh, yeah. Lots of catching up.
yeah. I wasn't I wasn't with Edgecombe when that transition to colleague happened, but one of the coordinators was, and he talked about it, but he was just so helpful to me. Um, he was teaching when I got there, he was teaching, but he had been part of that process, and so he knew colleague inside and out, and he was very helpful to me with understanding colleague, and especially when we had to start doing the adult high school stuff. I think they were doing it on a spreadsheet,
Oh,
and
wow.
then it moved to the eval system where you had to evaluate the classes and all of that stuff. And he was just really helpful because he had just out of boredom had built classes into that system when he was a coordinator just to see how it would look, but they never used it. They continued to use the spreadsheet. So when it was time for us to start using the eval system, we had all those classes built in that system had never been used. So I had a lot of help um, with colleague from people who had been with the college for a long time. But all of those people have retired. um, so we have a new person there at Edgecombe because the person that I trained when I left, he moved out of state, and now we have another new person there, and she'll call me every now and then with, well, I don't quite understand this or whatever, and that's fine. And but because that's how I had to do until someone, showed me. But I know it's doable. That's the whole of it. And Rachel, I'm not going to keep talking, and because I know you probably have tons of things to do, but it's doable, and we'll get through it.
Well, I just wanted y'all both to know that I appreciate, I know what efforts you are putting in behind the scene to make it smooth for us. And I appreciate having somebody to reach out to that's like an expert, or if you don't know, you're willing to find out. And I just appreciate that tremendously, because I know when I came on, I started, well, I'd been with CCR since 2007, and I was the GD examiner from 2013 through 2017. And so June of 2017, I took over the data manager role because Shelley Blyle retired. Do you guys remember Shelley Blyle?
Now the name
I
sounds
don't.
familiar.
she was a big CASAS trainer and everything. And so she had been doing it for like 25 years, but she retired like a month before the switchover. So I had a month to learn the old way of doing it in colleague, and then like I had to learn the new way, and then it had some hiccups along the way. And so that was I really appreciate y'all's your daily office hours. They just make me feel good, and I appreciate it.
Oh, well, I'm glad. I'm really glad to hear that.
Yes, thanks for stopping by.
Okay, I'll let y'all to it. Thanks again. Bye.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
The it looks like somebody's still on BF. Do you know who that is?
No, and it's showing on my system as on hold, so I'm not even sure what that is. I didn't know if it was someone who was I mentioned it a few minutes ago because I didn't know if they someone who was trying to say something and they I couldn't hear them, but it says on hold, and this is the first time I've seen that in one of
Yeah,
these meetings.
me too. I know you can set your status like as away or something, can't you? Meeting info,
Oh, you may
live
can.
settings.
Oh, it's Belinda France. I
Okay.
clicked on the name.
Well, I think I'm going to get going.
Oh, well, thank you as always, Janice. I appreciate it.
Maybe tomorrow we'll have some real valid data validation questions. And actually tomorrow is a day that I'm finishing at 1:30 tomorrow. I need to make a trip, and so I will be off tomorrow afternoon.
Okay. All
Um,
right. Well,
and
thank you
so
for letting me know.
you're welcome. I will see you possibly Friday. I know that's my day off, so that's still a maybe because I'll be out of state actually
Oh,
for,
I understand.
yeah,
Yeah, and if it's your day off, I mean, I'm sure that I can swing it. And if it's a question I don't know the answer to, like any of the others, I'll just take it back
right.
to the team.
Okay, that sounds good. So probably expect to see me for sure Monday at
Okay.
2. All right.
All right. Well,
Thanks,
you have a
Delonda.
safe trip.
Thanks, and see you. Bye.
Bye.